Testing? Can you hear me? Hello. Hello. Are you here? Good morning, everybody. Well, I finally realized something. You probably are saying, hell no, now what? I am never going on a trip with David and Frankie in the car with me. That is literal torture to the 10th degree. No, it was a lot of fun. And that kind of comes to what I wanted to talk about today. You know, it's funny how life is like a bunch of journeys. And today's message is unlikely heroes. The Bible is full of unlikely heroes. I mean, it's literally, the whole book is unlikely heroes. And I want to start with one unlikely hero. And this is not necessarily a biblical unlikely hero, but he was a little kid. He grew up in Texas. You know, he didn't have anything. Poor as dirt can get. Okay? I don't know how poor dirt can get, but it was poor. He lived in Texas. He was raising his kid, helped raise his kids. His mom was sick. His dad took off. And he got to be about 14 and 15, and all of a sudden World War II started. And this little kid became a man. And he wanted to join the military. Well, the Navy didn't want him because he was too short. The Marines didn't want him because, who are you? The Army didn't want him either, so he had to forge his age and all that to get into the Army. He gets into the Army, and he does amazing things. And if you really want to know who he is in that, because he wrote a book after the war, and it's called The Hell and Back. And then there was a movie, and it's the #1 selling movie, or movie watch, and his book was too. But he basically got every award you could possibly get in World War II. Every ribbon you could get, he could get. And one of the last things he did, and he was offered an officership, which he was going to take it. But at the end of the war, he's in the fields in France. There was over 300 Germans coming at him. The American line's about to break. There's a Sherman sitting there that's on fire. And what does this kid do? After already winning millions of awards, he gets on the dumb tank, burning tank, and starts to mow down the Germans. Now, obviously, that's not something everybody wants to do every day. It's to mow down a bunch of people. But he saves thousands, okay? And then he gets out of the Navy, or the military, the Army, and he becomes the #1 movie star in the 1950s. Every movie, Western, he had him in it. He was #1, making all the best movies with all the best stars. Then in the 1960s, gets in an airplane, dies. 43. Audie Murphy. Audie Murphy. Just an unlikely hero. Just a kid growing up in Texas. I can tell you those stories, 1,000 stories of men that went into battle. But I want to concentrate on some biblical characters which were all unlikely heroes. We all can be unlikely heroes. Every one of us. You just have to be open to what God is going to do in your life. You literally can do anything you put your mind to. Anything. Anybody says, I can't do that, you can. And I'm going to tell you some stories. God has a beautiful path. Okay, so first of all, I want to tell you something that kind of revolutionized my life last night. You're saying, last night? Yeah, last night. Okay, and I know this is going to get Pastor Mike all upset. I'm the type of guy that thinks about things for weeks. So this has been on my mind, in my head. It's been rumbling around in my head. And I'm just saying, Lord, okay, what do you really want me to say? And all of a sudden it clicked. Monday? It just clicked. Oh, hey, this one I want to talk about. And then I found out this thing called GP Chat. Okay. And this thing helped me. because I have a lot of ideas in my head. I don't know if you've ever spent time with me. I just kind of talk and my mind just kind of goes off. If you didn't know that, well, this thing helped me put my thoughts together. So I put letters and then I formed it. And it's really quite amazing. And I'm really excited about it. But God has a beautiful pattern throughout scriptures of using unlikely people to accomplish great things. Great things. You got Gilbert Dosh, or whatever the guy in Hackshaw Hill. He gets up there and all of his, in the Navy or in the military, he was going to be a wimp and they beat him up and everything, but he saved hundreds of soldiers. And the last battle they were going to go into, none of them wanted to go into battle unless he prayed first for the guys going into battle. He can accomplish great things. It isn't just our abilities, but God's power is working through our weakness and imperfections. We all have imperfections. Audie Murphy, one of his biggest problems after the war was alcohol and depression. I mean, all the things he had accomplished, and I don't know if he ever was saved at the end. All I know is that a lot of it he did overcome. Alcohol was one of the things he overcome. God's strength is made perfect in our weakness. And we can go, and the first verse we're going to be all over the Bible, okay? I forgot to set my timer. So I'm going to set my timer now. Okay, so this will go off in 30 minutes. So I better have it wrapped up in 30 minutes, okay, guys? Because I told myself, I don't want to rush this, because sometimes I can talk. I talk all the time. Sometimes I can over-talk. So I want to try to keep it precise. But we are going to be all over Scripture, so I hope you're ready. And I want you to go to 2 Corinthians 12:9, because God's strength is our perfect in our weakness. This is where He excels in our weakness. Okay? And He said to me, my grace is significant for you. My strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly, I would rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. That's what we have to ask for every day. Every day we have to ask for that. Every day we have to get closer with God. Okay? Just like now, right now, I was talking to Kathy this morning. We were, with her sister, and I said, we got 2 more kids in the house, and I told her, I said, believe me, I'm praying this every night. Bryan, please give me the ability to try to handle 2 more. And I'm just not me, but it's her too. I mean, it's a lot of stress. It's and then with everything else going on, it's a lot. And He will give us the strength if we're faithful. God uses our stories to bring glory to His name. Okay? I mean, Hackshaw Ridge, that brought really, there are a lot of miracles in that movie, okay? Or in his story, Gilbert Doss and his story about saving all those soldiers. Just one more, God. Just let me say one more. And the movie is actually pretty accurate in depictions of what happened to him. But we're going to be getting into the more important ones here in a second. In 1 Corinthians 1, 12 or 26 through 29. For you see your calling, brethren, that not many wise according to the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called. But God has chosen the foolish things of the world to put shame to the wise. And God has taken the weak things of this world to shame the things that are mighty. And the base things of this world, the things which are despised. God has chosen the things that are not to bring nothing. And the things that are, that no flesh should glory in His presence. There is no me, okay? Your life is your life, but it's your life with Christ, okay? You are an unlikely hero. Believe me, you are an unlikely hero. I had a fun time this week with Alec. I see every week Alec is opening up a little bit more. And yesterday or Friday we were at Chick-fil-A, and Alec shows up. I hate Alec, and Mac is sitting there. I go, here, you want Mac? No, and he goes, no, easy, and he's just having so much fun. He actually moved closer to us, okay? But everybody is an unlikely hero. You have to be open to what he's going to do. A lot of people don't want to be open to that. No, just keep me in my little box, please. Keep me in my little box, and I'll be happy. Because God's plans are bigger than our past mistakes. You might think, oh, I can't do that because I've done this, or I can't do that because I've done this. No, and you go, I knew I'd be going to this, Romans 8. Yep, sorry, Mike. Romans 8, 28. Romans 8, 28. And we know that all things, not hard things, all things work together for good to those who might love God. No, to those who love God, to those who are called to His, according to His purpose. He's got it all planned out. Are we ready for that? Are you ready for that? Are you ready to be an unlikely hero? Because believe me, He'll take you if you're ready. He will take you if you're ready. But a lot of us, we don't. We want to stay in our little bubble. You know, sometimes I want to stay in my little bubble, okay? That bubble keeps getting burst sometimes, you know? Which that's like. God chooses us based on our hearts, not our status, okay? And that's Samuel. Let's go to 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel 16, chapter 16, verse 7. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at the appearance or at the physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see a man, see what a man sees. He looks at the soul word, appearance. But the Lord looks at the heart. He will look at you, okay? Because you don't know what mission you're going to be, okay? You have no idea what your mission is going to be. God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't make sense. Ecclesiastics. Now we're going to Ecclesiastes. Actually, remember that word, Ecclesiastic? Like I'm really good at some of these words. 3:11. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Look it up. Well, what's the old ugly duckling they're called? But you know, when they're first born, they're ugly. You know, maybe look at babies. Everybody thinks babies are cute when they're first born, but I mean, not when they're first born. I mean, they're pretty. You know, everything's kind of mucky and everything. So I don't know how you can. But then sooner or later, you know, He has made everything beauty in its time. You know, I keep getting more handsome as I get older. You know what I'm saying? You know, as we get older, we get handsomer. You know what I'm saying? No, you don't get that one? Okay, we'll do that. And he has put extremity in our heart, except that no one can find out the work that God does from the beginning to the end. See, one thing we fail to realize is He's already seen what I've done. He knows my potential. He knows where my failures are. He knows what I can do and what I can't do. And He will be there. But again, you have to be ready. God works through our faithfulness, not our fame. Matthew 25, 21. 25:21. His Lord said to him, well done, good, faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will make you a ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of the Lord. You got to be ready. You really have to be ready. Because when it happens, it's a very unlikely situation that's going to happen in your life. It really is. God honors faithfulness in the small things. He doesn't need us to be famous or powerful. He calls us to be faithful in whatever He entrusts us. And sometimes it might be a little, sometimes it might be a lot. You know, this is our building. This is where we are. Okay? And everybody has a mission. God uses us in unique gifts and perspectives. Romans, again, I'm sorry, going to Romans 12, 6 through 8. Which again, these are great ones. It says, having then gifts according to grace, and then given to us, let us use them. If it's prophecy, let us prophesy in portions, or in faith, or ministry, let us use it in our ministries. He who is teaching, let us teach us. He who exhorts, let him exhort. He who gives, let him give liberally. He who leads, let him lead diligently. He who shows mercy with carefulness. This is again. Now, that's the prelude. No, he's kidding. He takes away. God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called. Okay? He doesn't call everybody that's ready. Okay? You know, this is funny. If you get on YouTube, there's basically these diaries of German soldiers after the war. After they were captured. And a lot of these German soldiers, they tell a story. Like for this one German, he gets to America. He finally gets off the boat in New York City. And he looks at New York City, and he said to himself, we had no chance. We literally had no chance of winning this war. He just like, holy cow, this is America? They're not even touched. Okay, this is New York City. It's got 7 million people, 5 million people. God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called. David, Moses. Now, let's get into the unlikely heroes. And I'm going to reference about 4. David, Joseph, Noah. You got Moses. You got Enoch. Let's start with Enoch. Genesis 5:24. Enoch walked with God and was not, for God took him. Obviously, he was unchosen hero. Obviously, he was following God to every extent you could follow him. And God said, you know what? Let's just stop, let's just go on. And he was not, he was gone. Moses, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in the flame of the fire in the midst of the bush, and he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses says, I will not turn aside and see this, and I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn. Then the Lord saw and turned aside to look. God called him from the bushes of Moses and said, Moses, Moses. He says, I am here. He said, draw near, for this place is holy. Take off your sandals, for this where you stand is holy. Therefore, moreover, he said, I am the Lord of your fathers, of God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. Unlikely, he had no idea what was going to go on. And what happens to Moses? Leads the Israelites out of Pharaoh. Takes them across the Red Sea to the Red Sea. Unlikely hero. Joseph, just an average kid, loved by his father. They were passed by the Midianites, merchantmen, and then they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit because his brothers, they were jealous. They put him in a pit. Hey, let's let's sell our brother to these people. Okay? Let us sell him. So Joseph and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought him to Egypt. Unlike the hero, he's just an average kid. He's got this beautiful coat. His dad loves him. His brothers are jealous. They don't want him. And then all of a sudden, what happens? He gets sold away. And then what happens later? Oh, you got the Egyptians. You have the famine. And then Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Does my father live? Oh, whoa, what do you mean? Yeah, you meant evil. Actually, I'm here. God had it all under control. And Joseph said to his brothers, please come near to me. So they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother. And this is in Genesis chapter 37. He said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt, but now do not therefore be grieved or angry with yourself, because you sold me here. You meant for evil, God meant for. Unlike the heroes, he saved thousands of people. This is how God just took an average little kid that was in a pit, put him in Egypt. Then you have my favorite three. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. How do I get those names? I have no idea. They're the most convoluted names you could ever. Shadrach, Meshach. That's what you should have named the kids. Shadrach, Meshach, and then Abednego. Then I'd have better three names. No? Okay. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you on this matter. If that is his cause, our God, whom we serve, will be able to deliver us. Because they wouldn't serve the God of Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel 3:24. That's where we're at. 3:24, verse 16. If it is his cause, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. Well, listen, guys. I don't know. These are just three average guys. All of a sudden, they are unlikely heroes thrown in the fire pit, okay? And they will deliver us, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve other gods or your gods, nor we worship the golden image that you have set up. And Nebuchadnezzar was astonished and rose in haste and spoke, saying to his counselors, did not we just throw three people into that fire? Why are there four in there all of a sudden? Well, they didn't have any answer. And then you have probably the most unique, unlikely hero. Just a shepherd, just a tiny kid, you know. You got the Palestinian or the Philistines just mocking God, okay, in front of the King Saul, just mocking him. All the warriors are sitting there; they're being mocked. You know, oh, your God can't do anything. And David's just a little shepherd. He goes, why are we doing this? And the champion went out of the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath, from Gath, whose height was 6 cubits in span. Then David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight the Philistines. Just a shepherd. You know what the biggest thing the Germans were afraid of about America? Do you know what it is? Do you know what Germans what they hated about fighting Americans? We just never stopped. We just never gave up. They were amazed that there was this one German camp had like 400 people, and these 30 Americans just, hey, let's take it, you know. Unlikely heroes, David. I will go and fight. Well, guess what happened? Got him in the head, right with a stone. Dead center. And the Philippines fled. I mean, I could talk to Samson too. But then we come to another unlikely hero, Daniel. It's not my son Daniel, but it's he's turned out to be somewhat of an unlikely hero. Now, when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went home. Now, okay, so this is Daniel 6. Well, again, it's the government, the kings. Oh, you got it. No more praying, people. Well, and Daniel said, well, obviously that's not going to happen. And he went into his upper room with his windows open toward Jerusalem. He knelt down on his knees 3 times a day and prayed and thanked God before God. And it was as it was the custom since early days. And these men assembly found David praying, and they making supplication before God. And then they threw him into the lion's den. Threw him in with the lions. Then Daniel said to the king, "O king, live forever. You sent me his angel, and he shut up the lions, that they would not hurt me, because I was found innocent before him. And also, O king, I have done no wrong before you." Unlikely hero. Just going away his business. Then all of a sudden thrown into the lion's den. Then we have Jonah. Here's a good one. How do you think you're going to avoid God? Now, the word of the Lord came to Jonah, and this is Jonah 1, the son of Anai, saying, "Go, arise to Nineveh, the great city, and crying out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me." But Jonah arose to flee to Tarshish. He didn't want to go. Went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare and went on the boat to go to them to take in the presence of the Lord. And what happened? I'm going to get away from God. That's a crazy idea. And what did God do? Sent a big whale and ate him. Unlikely heroes. They're all unlikely. We all are unlikely heroes. We are just going through our lives, and we all have to see what God has got planned for us. And you got Peter, just a fisherman. Jesus predicts Peter's denial. Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, where are you going?" Jesus answered, "I am going. Where I am going, you cannot follow me, but you shall follow me afterwards." And Peter said to the Lord, "Lord, I will not. Why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for your sake." Well, we know that didn't happen too well. Because Jesus in answer said, "You will lay down your life for me, for my sake?" Question. "Most assuredly I say to you, the rooster shall crow 3 times, because you're going to deny me tonight." And then what did Christ say earlier on in the scriptures? This is before Peter did this. It says, "You are Peter. On this rock I will build my church. The gates of hell shall not prevail against it." Listen, the church has been around for 2,000 years. It's been through every persecution you could possibly think of. Got 7 or 8 emperors in Rome. Still couldn't stop it. Couldn't stop it. Then you have Saul. Poor old Saul. Then Saul, still breathing threats, murders against the disciples to the Lord. He went to the high priest and asked for letters to the synagogues of Damascus. So if they were found any who were of the way, whether men or kids, might bring them bound to Jerusalem. Paul had a different, just a standard person. He just picks them out of nowhere. "For I will show him how many things he must suffer for my sake." Paul had to suffer a lot. He got to Rome, and he had to suffer there too. He suffered everywhere. God's power in ordinary people. We're all ordinary people. But you have to really ask, hey, what does God want me to do? Where does he want me to go in my life? God's power in ordinary people, reluctant leader, impulsive follower. Impulsive follower, Peter was. Faithful exile. Dreamers who suffered, who were enduring suffering. Joseph, David, the shepherd king. Now they're finding all the truths about David. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the faithful in the fiery furnace. Man who walked with God, Enoch. Enoch was one of the most mysterious figures in the Bible. He lived a life so pleasing to God that he didn't even die, but was taken directly to heaven. I mean, this story is amazing to me. The reluctant prophet, Joseph, or Jonah. And I'll end with this. Right on to it. It's got 5 minutes, but I'll end here because this is just perfect. Don't disqualify yourself because of your weakness. God is calling you to greatness. He is the one who makes you capable. You know, and I know this is over cliched, but I really don't think it's over cliched. You know, when they say it was an eighth of an inch, you know, of just turning his head an eighth of an inch. I know there's a lot of people that don't like him, don't like his past life. That you know, God. Then we might as well just throw away the Bible because God moved David. He moved the king Nebuchadnezzar, even worked in his life. But I mean, an eighth of an inch. Okay. Everybody has greatness, okay, and it will be shown through the stone. Like they were talking about George Washington. You know, were you talking about George Washington this morning? You know, he was. You know, he came to his all his officers and says, "Going back to Mount Vernon, see you." And that shocked the world. That has never happened before. I'm telling you, it never happened. That's why I always had this argument with this guy in my store, in Young's Newsstand, when I had Young's Newsstand. Always argued. I said, I don't believe in absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't believe it. He says, oh yeah, so you give somebody absolute power, or there's absolute power. I said, no, I don't believe it. And I gave him an example. I said, George Washington is one of my prime examples. He had absolute power and he turned it down. Don't disqualify yourself from your weakness. God is calling you to greatness. He is the one who makes you capable. Please remember that. Lord, we want to thank you for this time of fellowship. We thank you for Mike. We thank you for Missy and all the prayers that we have today, Lord. We thank you for your gospel. We thank you for Christ, Lord, for you coming here and giving us strength. Give us wisdom. Give us understanding. Thank you for all the things that you've done in our lives. Help us to walk closer to you, and we just thank this in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, now we have music now? I don't have to sing, right? Listen to the way he said that. I know, I can't sing.
We're going to sing What a Friend We Have in Jesus. Go ahead and sing.